Hey everyone, and welcome to Sideshow, Sidescape's just general podcast. I'm Jake Burke. I've got Hunter Phillips alongside me, Maddie Atlee, and my co-host on Game Podcast, James St. Charles. We have an exciting show for you today. We're just going to throw out two random topics from Hunter and Maddie and just see where it goes. If you like that, remember to subscribe to Sidescape on YouTube, like our Facebook page, our Instagram, and we also have a SoundCloud account that we sometimes post things to when I remember. Now, how is everyone doing this week?
Really good.
Doing great, Jake. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. No problem. It's a good week. We're on the cusp of The Last of Us Part 2, so we're all very excited. Especially, mainly me. I think I'm the only one really that excited. Yeah.
Are you even sleeping?
Surprisingly, yes. I think Wednesday night before I have a chance to play it, I'm gonna be awake the whole night. It's like when I go to Disneyland and I get very excited.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
You're like, do you guys remember that old Disneyland commercial where it's literally like the kids can't sleep because they're too excited to go to Disneyland?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I am all the time. Yeah.
I still need to play the first one. I haven't played the first one before. I've only seen like a walkthrough or a let's play or whatever on YouTube.
What?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever actually played it. I think I might have played up until you go to a gym or a school, and then I stopped playing after that, I think.
You got to Billstown.
Sure.
Good part. Yeah. Good part. Speaking of good parts, Hunter, I want you to start us off with your topic. What do you got for me?
It's a pretty easy topic. I just want to know if you guys were Disney kids, Cartoon Network kids, Nickelodeon kids, and what were your favorite shows on said network?
Can I add one? I was a WB Kids, Saturday morning cartoons. Those are that was my shit.
All right. Okay.
I watched Pokemon.
Good one.
Like an addict.
Wait, how early did you get up Saturday morning?
I've always got up at 6 a.m. when I was a kid. I didn't sleep in. So I was hitting all the reruns that were then prepping you for 8 o'clock when you got the new stuff. I was watching Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, because that was the coolest thing in the world. And then of course was Yu-Gi-Oh, which I was weirdly obsessed with.
We were the same. Kid. I love Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, Hunter remembers my Yu-Gi-Oh phase of I had the dual discs.
Jake had the whole armband thingy.
Oh my god!
Oh my god, he was into it.
Before those were even available on the market, my friend made one out of cardboard and plastic. We were really obsessed before you could even buy the dual.
I don't know, Hunter, if you remember, but there was an episode of Yu-Gi-Oh where they fought in a labyrinth. And they it was basically a board game that they moved along their cards to, which doesn't make sense because that's not how you play the game at all. But I was so obsessed. Yeah, I was so obsessed with this labyrinth that Parker and I built a labyrinth out of wood and tried to play the card game in the labyrinth, which is not how the game is played at all.
Not at all.
Oh wait, I know. I remember what you're talking about. It's from Duelist Kingdom.
Yeah, it's in Duelist Kingdom.
Where they're fighting and there's a labyrinth tank and
yeah. And there's the.
I was thinking of the different game, the dice game. From
Dungeon Dice Monsters from Duke. Yeah. I had that too. I had that. But yeah, I was a huge Yu-Gi-Oh kid to the point where I would record all the episodes on VHS and I'd watch them with the commercials and stuff because I was that obsessed with that show. And
were always Pokemon cards to me. Where I didn't know how you actually played Pokemon with the cards. the actual card game. Mm-hmm. I just collected it and same with Yu-Gi-Oh. I think Yu-Gi-Oh was a little bit easier to play, right? Because it was more straightforward, but it was fun to collect them. So
Yu-Gi-Oh was easier. I never played Pokemon. I had the cards. It was fun to look at, but never played.
Yeah.
I'm actually so much of still a little Yu-Gi-Oh fanboy that I do have my Blue Eyes White Dragon right on my desk.
Yeah.
Near mint.
Near mint Blue Eyes White Dragon first edition. Got that card for being good. Yep.
Oh.
Impossible.
See, I was a WB Kids, but I watched all of them throughout.
Yeah.
Disney had some stuff but
WB
I
was never too much of a Disney kid. I was always split between Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
I think every single kid watched SpongeBob when they were growing up, or at least
except Jake.
I hate SpongeBob.
Are you kidding me, Jake?
I find SpongeBob to be so annoying.
What kind of childhood did you have?
I
know. Had a WB childhood. That's what he had.
That's horrible, Jake.
Yeah, I can't stand SpongeBob. Even to this day, I've watched it with people, and they're like, "Oh, you have to appreciate when you're older." It's the chocolate episode's funny because everybody quotes it.
Chocolate.
That's it.
I always hated it.
Really?
But all right, SpongeBob.
I'll make references and he won't get them. I don't think he gets the main references because everybody says them. But I'll do a little bit more deep cut and he'll be so confused. It makes me sad.
So was it just SpongeBob, Jake, or was it Nickelodeon as a whole? Did you ever watch like Fairly Odd Parents?
Oh no, I love Fairly Odd Parents. I love Jimmy Neutron, Avatar: The Last Airbender, which watch it on Netflix again because it's back and it's awesome.
So good.
Maddie and I watched the hell out of that. That'll actually be our cinema realness topic for this Thursday.
Yeah, Tracy and I powered through that in like a week and a half. We watched all 3 books.
Yep,
that's what we did too.
That's what Maddie and I did.
It's such a good series, and it still holds up. And it's like,
I think it's better being an adult to watch Avatar than a kid because stuff goes over your head as a kid that like.
Yeah.
That's why SpongeBob's better as an adult.
Exactly.
Jesus Christ.
Listen to James.
SpongeBob's fundamental problem is that the main character is so annoying. Like, we watched Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie, the other day, which was not great. And
it was so bad.
And Matt, my roommate, made a good point. He's like, it's a very bold choice to make your main character this annoying. And that's how I feel about SpongeBob. Like, he's annoying to the point where he's not even funny to me. He's just annoying. Patrick's funny.
Patrick's funny.
The idea of Mr. Krabs is hilarious.
I love it.
But
I love that Krusty Krab is in a crab trap.
Yeah,
that's my favorite.
Like all of that stuff is funny to me, but the fact that SpongeBob is just the most annoying thing in the planet, I can't do it. I just can't watch the show.
So you relate to Squidward a lot then?
Yes.
He's Squidward.
I'll be Squidward.
SpongeBob.
Why, SpongeBob? Why?
We could just have. Let's just try to do SpongeBob spoiler cast.
Yeah, let's just talk about. SpongeBob.
Yeah, I'll leave for this one.
Oh my god.
Okay, Cartoon Network then.
Cartoon Network. I think one of my favorite shows on Cartoon Network was Codename Kid Codename Kid.
Yes,
that was a great show.
It is so good.
Yes.
Awesome.
The only thing I liked on Cartoon Network was Toonami. If you remember, like what Toonami was. It was like when they played their anime section.
Yeah.
And it was like, all I remember is the spaceman that sat in the chair and he had all the screens and he'd like pivot to one and that's like what the show you'd watch.
Toonami's back. Like that whole thing is back. They brought
really?
Toonami back. Yep. With like modern anime and modern shows. And it's pretty good.
That's cool.
That's cool. That's where I watched all of Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop.
Samurai Jack.
Yu Yu Hakusho. Samurai Jack. Oh my.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
That's a show that I want to watch.
What about what about Great Adventures of Billy and Mandy?
I had mixed feelings about that show.
That show and Courage the Cowardly Dog were always just those two shows
scare me.
Couldn't do
Courage the Cowardly Dog. I used to hate that. Oh my god, no.
Courage the Cowardly Dog scared the hell out of me as a kid to like where I couldn't watch it. That show fucked me up.
I like her. I like the scary
stuff.
For
some reason, Ed, and Eddie always kind of freaked me out too.
Ed and Eddie?
It was just like,
Ed and Eddie.
Yeah, me too.
Like looking back, it's just like a dumb show, but like for some reason, when I was a kid, it was just like, this is weird. I don't know.
It is. I mean, they're weird shows, but
they're all strange.
Ed and Eddie was.
They're all just crap. Like you go back and watch them, like, oh god, like this is what as a kid I found funny. Like,
it's like, here, kids, watch this. This is what your dad used to watch.
Like Powerpuff Girls or something, and
I loved Powerpuff Girls.
But I feel like Billy and Mandy or Courage the Cowardly Dog or Codename Kid Next Door maybe wouldn't hold up as much as the other ones would. But I feel like, well, obviously, Jake, you don't think so, but SpongeBob probably holds up, or at least the first few seasons up until like 2000 something.
Yeah, up until the
first 3 seasons
left. Yeah, I think he left after the 3rd season, and then I felt like it kind of went downhill. Yeah.
I always think it's so funny too, like with kids shows, like what we know as a season of TV to like as like adults, right? Of like a season of Stranger Things is not how they used to make kid shows back in the day. Like Fairly Odd Parents only has like 4 or 5 seasons, but it went on for like 20 years. There's probably only like 100 episodes of Fairly Odd Parents, not even. And they would just make like a 2-part. Every episode was 2 parts, and they just put it on so kids wouldn't know like the difference basically when they would just be watching the show. That's why it gets weird when they add like continuity to like a Nick show. So when Fairly Odd Parents, like they have the kid, Plouffe or whatever its name is. Cosmo and Wanda have a kid. Then the whole show is like, oh, this is now weird because this isn't just like a normal episode because there's like this new thing. And they tried to not do that for kids. So they could just basically play them in like perpetuity.
Right.
Yeah. Which is just nuts.
Yeah. So was anyone else a Disney kid? Because I watched like all 3, but I think I probably watched Disney more than the rest of you guys. It sounds like.
Yeah, I watched Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. That was a Disney
I would
show.
watch that.
Good one. Yeah, I didn't really watch I guess I watched some of the TV shows, but I didn't watch any of the movies. Like, I think when I was in high school, my friends had to like introduce me to like a lot of the movies.
Yeah.
And they just weren't really doing it for me because I was
they're not
16
good.
or whatever versus 8 or 9 or whatever watching them.
Yeah.
Disney show movies. Oh.
For me, Disney Channel was like, my sister's 6 years older than me, 6 or 7 years older than me, like depending on the month you cut it. And so Disney Channel had a lot of stuff that like we could watch together. So that was like a lot of like all the Disney Channel original movies like were stuff that like I would enjoy and she would enjoy. And same with like Boy Meets World and stuff like that. So we watched a lot of those shows, Lizzie McGuire, together.
I loved Lizzie. I was a total Lizzie McGuire kid. I was like my gospel.
Disney, right?
Yeah, Kim Possible was Disney. We watched that.
Yeah, Possible too.
But like I never got into the shows like after that first like phase of like Lizzie McGuire and even Stevens and stuff. Like I never watched Wizards in Waverly Place or Hannah Montana or any of that kind of because that was not my family's demographic anymore.
You basically grew past Disney, right? Like,
exactly. There's a point where like I feel like it's almost like the curtain comes up and you realize they're not really good. They just like they're good because you're a little kid and you don't get it, and then you wake up and you're like, oh, none of these are really good. Like they're not. But I feel like that's the difference between like Nick or Cartoon Network is they actually have shows that kind of last and like you grow up and you actually still like them, like Avatar, But Disney is like there's maybe one show I'd go back and
like
watch.
Boy Meets World ages really well because it's like the whole cast ages and the show basically like becomes like that age demographic. So when they're in high school, it is more of like a high school show. But like going back after we watched Honey Boy with Shia LaBeouf on Amazon, my roommate and I went back and watched an Even Stevens episode, and it is just like it feels like junk food for kids. Like they just like throw like basically cheese at the screen, and it's like this is funny, right? And it's like, oh my god, this is terrible.
Yeah.
You just maybe remind me of Drake and Josh.
Yeah. Oh, I used to love
Drake and
Josh. Like that show's not good.
Really? I feel like that would be one of the shows that holds up.
No.
I don't know.
I think some of the jokes still hold up, but I wouldn't say like the show overall does really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the acting's terrible. Like it's just Rocky. There you go.
Rocky.
I was gonna say rough and then Rocky at the same time.
It just combined into
Rough.
All right. Anyone else have any shows?
No, that was a good topic though. That was fun.
Yeah,
that was a good topic.
Memory lane there.
Wasn't Teen Titans Cartoon Network?
Teen Titans
was
Cartoon
Network.
I love
Teen Titans. Very good.
Yeah.
I love Teen Titans.
Yep.
That spun off of like all those back to WB Kids, man. WB Kids had all the DC comic shows, and when you were a little Jake Burke and Spider-Man was swinging around, you're like, that's cool, but I want to see Batman and Superman, and then the Justice League.
Good as Teen Titans?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Batman the Animated Series is one of the great shows of all time. I would stand by that 100%. I think it was all on Amazon Prime recently. It's really good. Can
you find it anywhere?
Yeah. I think it's on Amazon Prime. That show is better than it should be. The whole voice cast is the cast of the Arkham games. They basically
when Mark Hamill is there.
And Mark Hamill's the Joker.
Yep.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah,
I've also heard one of the animated Spectacular Spider-Man or Ultimate Spider-Man. One of those two is really good.
One of them's really bad. One of them's really good. I think Spectacular is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to check it out.
The 90s Spider-Man show is on Disney Plus that has like the super 90s intro. It's like
I love that opening right when you
But that's a good show too.
Oh my god.
All right, Madeline, what is your topic?
So my topic was I want to know what your guys' craziest travel story or experience is. Like it could be good or it could be bad, because I feel like it's easier to remember a bad one, but a good one is also, like, I guess for me, one of my best experiences was, it was kind of like on a whim. We had a tour guide when we were in Prague, and he was a local tour guide, and he asked if we wanted to go to, it was an hour drive outside of the city, but it was this place called Kutna Hora, where there's the Bone Chapel. And it's literally like the history of the place is, back in the day, if you wanted to be directly ascended into heaven, you could be buried in a church that has a plot of land from Bethlehem. And so this church, this little chapel, was taken over by a wealthy man, and he wanted that to be his church. So he sent a priest to go to Bethlehem to bring back soil. And then he came back with the soil, and there was a civil war and a plague that happened at the exact same time. So everyone in the area wanted to be buried there so they could go directly to heaven. And it basically became this mass grave that went on for like a mile around the church. And then a new family took over, and they didn't want all these mass graves. So they asked the church how they can still respect the people who were buried, but not have it be on the land. And so they allowed them to excavate it and basically build a chapel out of bones. So you go into this chapel, and it's all real. It's all dug up from the area, and they're still excavating this area. You can see it in like the layers in their digs. And I wish could show you guys pictures, but it's you go, and it's still an active church too. So the church is on top, and you go down, and everything, there's chandeliers made out of bones. There's a family crest made out of every single human bone in the body. And it was the scariest and coolest thing I have ever seen. It was really eerie.
Freaky.
That's so
Yeah, but it was super cool. It was one of my favorite stories.
Who has
to
that
tell
idea?
people.
How many people that has to like be to make a chapel out of bones?
And it's
That's
still not
gross.
even everyone around. It's crazy because it was just, because the death rate was so high because of the Civil War and plague. Like they were literally just throwing bodies and digging them in mass graves.
Insane.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh my god.
Listen,
Yeah.
I don't think.
Wait, where was that again? That was in.
It was in Kutna-Hora. It's an hour outside of Prague.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
That's freaky.
crazy.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have too many travel stories. Like I went out of the country for the first time last year with Tracy. We just went to Canada and back for like a day. But
That's
after
right.
high school, yeah, we just did like
that.
a day trip to Vancouver.
Because you were staying in Washington, right?
Yeah, her family lives in Bellingham, so it's like an hour drive maybe to the border, half-hour drive.
Oh, cool.
So really easy. But after my senior year of high school, my dad took me, his family up in Anchorage, Alaska.
Mm.
And so we went to Alaska, and we did about, I think it was like 2 weeks there, maybe a little less than 2 weeks there. And so they have places, up and down the coast, I guess, of Alaska, if you can call it that. And one of them, well, I guess in Anchorage, the guy, his cousin's husband was a supply plane flyer for the Iditarod races, like the dog races,
Oh,
And
wow.
so he has like a little tiny 4-person Cessna, and he was saying, "Hey, I don't really get to fly much anymore, but I love flying. Do you guys want to come with us?" And so we said yes, but I hate flying just as is. Like I don't like flying in big jumbo jets that are pretty stable. And so this little tiny thing, it was super windy, and we were taking off, and it was shaking up a bunch. And he flew us up to the glaciers, which are super, super cool. It's like, bright blue, clear water. And then as we're flying home, my dad sees a bear, and he's like, "Oh, hey, look, there's a bear." And I couldn't see it because the thing, like, the plane went past it. And so this guy, Bill, he's like, "Oh, don't worry." He like does like a 180 corkscrew, or like a 3, it's like corkscrew down so we can go see it. And I was freaking out, and I was breathing super heavy. I didn't like it at all. Because like I already hate flying. It was gross. And just, yeah. That's about it.
Yeah.
That's
I
so
don't
funny.
really have many crazy travel experiences.
That just makes my stomach hurt hearing that.
I know.
Though.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't like it. I
Ugh.
didn't like it at all. Yeah.
I get so motion sick too.
And you can
Yeah.
really feel like the turbulence and the wind of those tiny little planes.
Yeah.
And like it's just you just drop, X amount of feet, but it feels like it's so much more in that tiny little plane.
Mhm.
Didn't like it one bit. But
No.
My crazy travel story, which Maddie has heard this story many, many a time. But I went 2 years ago now to Europe for 10 days by myself. So I did 10 days with my family. We went all over like Croatia and Austria. And then I did a trip to Italy and Spain by myself. And flying out of Croatia is like, they have a pretty small airport, and you can't like get into the terminal until your flight is like an hour or like less to fly. So like you just wait in like the waiting room before you can check in. And our flight was late. They didn't know what plane was going to be our plane, like to get to Rome. They had no idea. And so that's already like a stressful experience, and I don't do extremely well with stress. And so then we get out to like the tarmac, I guess. Yeah. To the tarmac, and it is a propeller plane that has like 2 big propellers. And so like the propellers start, and like you feel like the vibration of like, this is not a normal like 747 plane.
Yeah.
And it's like a rickety plane. We land in Rome, and I'm really stupid, and I've never traveled on my own. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to land in Rome. I'll be in Rome. I just can probably, go to my hotel. It'll be like 5-10 minutes away. Well, the Roman airport is like 45 minutes outside of Rome. So I land in Rome, and I have no idea like how to get to my hotel or anything. So I go up to like a taxi. I'm like, I'll take one. And like, how much is it going to pay to like get to my hotel? He's like, oh, like 240 euros. And I was like, fuck that, no. And so like, then I walked to like the train station, and there is a train station airport that actually does have a train that goes directly into Rome's like main station. Well, I'm talking to the guy like, where's the station? I'd like to buy a ticket. He goes, oh, you can buy a train ticket. He goes, there's a new shuttle service that you can buy, and it's like €5. It's like, less than the train ticket. I was like, perfect, I'll do that. So he goes, okay, and he goes, let me get you your ticket. And he takes a piece of paper, shit you not, like this. And he just writes, he goes, what's your name? And I was like, Jake. He goes, okay. He writes in Sharpie, Jake, and he just hands me this piece of paper. And I was like, all right. He goes, go stand over like near that like signpost with all these other people, travelers from all over like the world. And I'll stand there, and then some like big Italian man walks up and he goes, you shuttle? And we're like, yeah. And he goes, all right, follow me. And we walk for like 15 minutes down into this parking garage to like this deep recesses of parking garage. And I shit you not, we get to a windowless white van. And I'm like, oh my God. So I literally take out my phone. I text the license plate number to my stepmom. And I was like, if you don't hear from me in an hour, I have been kidnapped. And we all got into this windowless van, and I'm like shaking in the van, and it's like the most stressful time in my life. And we drive to the train station. And it took like 45 minutes, and the whole time I'm like, I'm going to be kidnapped. My dad's going to have to like come rescue me. He's in Croatia. That'll take him forever to get here.
You were taken.
I was taken. I was literally taken. And then we got to the train station, and then they're like, all right, go to the train station. It's like the most confusing thing ever because it's super busy. And I was like, fuck it, I'm getting an Uber. And the Uber from the airport was only going to be like €40. And I could have saved myself a lot of stress. That was like terrifying, thinking I was going to get kidnapped on my first day traveling alone.
Oh my God.
It's always so stressful.
Yeah.
Like trying to like get to your hotel in a different country, you don't speak the language, and like
Yeah. So I just got back to my hotel. I called Maddie and I was like, I don't know what to do. She's like, you need to take the night and figure out how to get to every place you're staying from where you're. I was like, that's a really smart idea.
Maddie's an expert at this. That's
So then later in that trip, I went to Venice, and I was doing Airbnbs at every place but Rome. So I get
had a really rough trip.
I did. Yeah. Oh yeah. I was malnourished in Florence, where like. Or no, I was malnourished when I got to Barcelona. I like didn't feel good and everything. I was like, I feel really sick. I called my dad, and he's like, when's the last time you were in Italy? When's the last time you had fruits or vegetables? And I was like, I've only had pasta and bread for like 4 days. And he's like, you need to have fruits and vegetables. And I was like, oh, okay, I was malnourished. I had scurvy basically. And then, but I got to Venice, and I like walked over to my Airbnb, and Venice is an interesting city. So I get to like where my Airbnb is, knock on the door, no one answers, call the number, no one answers. And like I've gotten a response saying like, hey, come at 1:00 and we'll open the door. Sit there. I have no idea what to do. I've got all my bags. I'm like, shit, I'm just in Venice and can't get into the place I'm staying at. And I just literally sit down on the stoop outside. Like 20 minutes later, 2 Americans that are like a few years younger than me are like, oh, are you also waiting for Andreas like to open up her house? And I was like, yeah. She's like, yeah, we've been waiting for about an hour and a half and we haven't heard anything. We dropped off our bags like in this place. So I dropped off my bags too. We all, us 3 walked around. We finally got back to the spot, and there was like a gardener with the door open into like the apartment complex. Like, oh, we need to get in there. So like we ran up there, got to the door, knocked on it. This person opens it that's not Andreas. And it's like, oh, are you staying here tonight? And we're like, yeah. And she's like, okay, come on in. We bring in our suitcase, and I shit you not, it's a 3-bedroom place. There are 20-something suitcases just lining like the entryway. And we walk up the stairs, and in the 3 bedrooms, and I had ordered a single room. That's important for this story. There's a small room like a closet that has just 2 twin beds pushed up together like this on the wall, and like a little walk space. And I was like, I have a single, and she goes, oh, it's in here, which is not a single because there's 2 beds. Then there's another like master bedroom that has like 13 or 14 beds just lining this room. And then there's another room that has like 5 or 6 beds. And I'm unloading my stuff in this room, and there's a nice like Mexican woman that's probably my age, and she looks at me and she goes, do not stay here tonight. And I was like, what? Why? And she goes, they just do drugs and party until like 5 a.m. She goes, I was asleep last night, and some old man crawled into my bed with me. He was so high and he fell asleep on me, like on top of me. And I was like, okay, so I walk over to the Americans. I was like, we need to get out of here right now. And like we took pictures. There were cigarette butts all over the place. Like there was just dirt and grime, mold all over the walls. We took a bunch of pictures, filmed a bunch of stuff to send to Airbnb. And we finally like found a hostel that was super nice. The nicest place I stayed the whole trip. But oh my God, it was terrifying.
Hostels are actually nice.
Yeah.
You can stay in really nice hostels. People don't believe that, but you can.
Yeah.
And they're cheaper. That's always my PSA. It's like,
it was
look at
freaking terrifying. I was like, we were staying in a drug den.
That's nasty.
Yeah. So I got my money back, which was good.
Yeah.
You know.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was my 2 horror stories of that trip. Yeah.
Well, I don't have any horror stories, but I have one kind of close to Maddie's story, I guess, in terms of its religious. When I was in Rome, I guess Vatican City in 2005, I was there with like my choir from my church, elementary school, and we were there with like thousands of other choirs, all just in St. Peter's Basilica, like a little like opening area.
Yeah.
And they had like a little like entrance, and like the Pope, it was Pope Benedict XVI because he'd recently taken over.
Okay.
Like that was 2005. I think that's when Pope John Paul II died.
Mhm.
So like it was like a lot of hype, and everyone was there. And our tour guide like was really nice. She was just like doing everything for us, and she surprised us. She like comes to our choir. She's like, "Hey, everyone here is gonna go to St. Joseph's Chapel, all the choirs, but one choir will go to St. Peter's Cathedral and do a mass." And she's like, "I got you guys to be that choir to do that." And we were like, "Oh,
cool.
what? How?" And she's like, "My uncle is a cardinal, and her uncle did the mass and like got us in there." So we go in, right? So when you walk into St. Peter's Basilica, you go up to the cathedral. It's like it's the main entrance, and then right there is the church. Like you walk in and you see all the art and all that, and then all the tourists come by, and then you can hold the mass right there. So it's us in the entrance, thousands of people just walking in, and we're like doing a mass like with choir, and it was absolutely insane. It was like the most nervous I've ever been.
Wow.
Like doing an Italian mass and singing all this stuff, and it was just like all the other thousands didn't get picked, and we like were like selected. It was just like insane how
That's so cool.
like really good memory.
Cool.
I was
I
really
have one more, but
I was really hoping that story was going to end with you having to do like a choir off, like they do in Pitch Perfect, like all in like an empty pool.
Actually, there was something like that, because what would happen is they were naming all the choirs. Like they were naming so many choirs, and what would happen is they would name a choir, and then a choir would start singing. So then everyone, so it took forever. They started naming all the choirs, and the choir would just start singing out of the blue. And they're like, "All right, we'll give you 30 seconds, and we'll just keep moving."
They're like, everybody has to sing Holy Night right now.
They were just singing like a random song, so it was hilarious.
That's really cool.
But I got another story from 2001, I guess, when I was in England. By the way, England has no American cheese. I'm like obsessed with. I was obsessed with it as a kid. It was like the worst shit to me. I was like, I can't get American cheese. We go to London. We go to London, and they have Hard Rock Cafe. So we go to the Hard Rock Cafe, and they have American cheese. And I was so happy. This is the best day of my life. Get a burger, and then they have the Hard Rock Cafe Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum. We go down there, and it's like, oh, cool. There's like Elvis's, get up or whatever, and then there's a guitar, and I was like, oh man, that's a nice guitar. And I asked the tour guide, I was like, hey, can I touch that guitar? And he's like, looks at me, and he's like, I guess. Let me deactivate the security system. And he gives me the guitar, and I'm like sitting there like holding the guitar, and he's like, that's Jimi Hendrix's guitar. It's worth $300,000. Don't drop it. I was like, it is in my hand, and I was like, I got a picture of it somewhere when I was a kid.
That's awesome.
Gotta find it. But I was
Super cool.
I asked that, and everyone was like, damn, did he just ask to like hold Jimi Hendrix's guitar, and like no one else did it? And I was just a kid, like like second grade or something like that, just I was like playing a song, and I was like, man, I was about to like play something.
That's so cool.
It smelled like cigarettes. It smelled like probably weed. I didn't know what weed smelled like,
Yeah,
but it
sure.
was it was hilarious.
Just lined in cocaine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of his Fenders. It was pretty
That's
great.
so cool. What before we wrap up, what's the like coolest place you've ever visited from everyone?
Assisi, France. I mean, sorry, Assisi, Italy. Sorry. Assisi, Italy is like the most
really
beautiful
cool.
place. It's so beautiful.
Is that on the coast?
No, it's like inland plain. Like you go in there and you just see green fields everywhere, and it's just like so calming, and everything is just. It's like I want to retire there. Like it's just so peaceful.
It's really beautiful.
That's cool.
I forget where it is. My family and I visited it once. It was really cool.
Is yours the Bone Church, Maddie? I feel like that's.
Yeah,
it's hard to beat.
There's nothing like it.
It's gotta be.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest places. I think on like a sentimental note, it's been really cool to visit my family in Italy and like kind of see like where my family has grown up and like kind of like where my ancestors are from. But I mean, Bone Chapel is definitely the most unique experience I've ever had.
Yeah,
for
sure. It's tough to beat.
Yeah.
I guess mine would be my dad and I hiked. We didn't make it up to the top, but we hiked Mount Whitney. We made it a little more than we made like 3/4 of the way up. But just like hiking all around there, and like once you get up past a certain point, you can kind of see like down to the valley below, and you can kind of like Death Valley is far away, but I was just like this one big long valley, and so you can like see out there. But it's like so peaceful and beautiful with streams, and like they're not quite glaciers, but they were like there was like icicles like coming off the waterfall and stuff because it was going from. I think we were in spring, so it was coming out of like winter sort of. So there's still like like icicles and ice and stuff, and it was pretty. So I guess that one
pretty.
That's cool.
That's really cool.
Pretty.
Yeah, for me it's the coast of Normandy, like on Omaha Beach where D-Day happened, is like the most haunting place to stand in the world, and just beautiful. Of like being someone that was very obsessed with like World War II as a kid, I was like standing there when I graduated high school. I got to go and being on the beach and seeing like children playing in the water and like them having no idea like why this beach is so important. And then like you look behind you on the cliff, there's a pillbox still, and it's like, holy crap! Like this was covered in blood one day, and like it's the Greatest Generation did something incredible here. It was very haunting and harrowing. Yeah.
Awesome.
And we'll wrap it.
And like on the haunting note.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No.
On like on a haunting note, I feel like just like everyone should go to like if they get the chance. Obviously, if you're ever in like East Germany or East Europe, you should go to a concentration camp.
Yeah, Dachau.
Because that is like one of the most haunting things I've ever done. Yeah. But it's kind of like what you were saying. Like it's weird to walk around and like think of like all the horrible things that happen there, but I think it's important that people go.
Yeah, Dachau is one of the hardest places I've ever walked in. Yeah, you definitely need a beer after you go to Dachau.
Oh yeah,
that's why it's right next to Munich. It's like oof. Well, on that very somber note, we are going to wrap up this episode of Sideshow. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe, like, do all that jazz, and we will see you next week. This is Hunter, Maddie, James, and I'm Jake. See ya.